So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Chris. Chris is the city director for Spokane, correct? And he's going to be sharing what their company does and how they work. So let's give him a hand.
Thanks, James. Do you want my photo up there?
Yes.
Oh, that's it. That was a good lighting that day, I feel like. Just kidding. Thanks for taking the time today. Does anybody know about Big Table already? Is there a few? Ben does. I know I saw Ben earlier, so Ben does. Anybody else know about Big Table already? Okay, that's awesome. Okay, this is super fun. Has anybody worked in the restaurant and hospitality industry? Let's see some hands. No, a few. Okay, so you've been in the mix. Has anybody ate at a restaurant and a hotel recently? I just want to, come on, give me some hands. Come on, give me some a little bit. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, simply put, Big Table serves those that work in the restaurant and hospitality industry that are in crisis and in need in some capacity. Prior to the pandemic, this one very industry was the largest industry in the nation, with restaurants and hotels combined, almost bigger than double any other industry in the nation. And currently in the mix, 1 in 3 folks who was working in a hotel prior to the pandemic still are not back to work now. And 1 in 5 folks who work in a restaurant still aren't at work now because of where we're at with current restrictions and things, and because we haven't returned in the midst. So as Big Table, what I want to share about tonight is really how do we start to approach, like those numbers are scary, those stats are crazy, but what I really want to talk about tonight is how then as a Big Table do we start to approach this idea of the hospitality industry and caring for folks. So I want to share more about some other kind of pieces of the industry and why we exist, but the heart of what we do really goes back to this idea of the world care and caring for individuals. So before we jump any further, before I share any more, I want to share this little video with you that is a direct care story of somebody in Spokane that we've cared for. And our friends at the Inovia Foundation had put this together for us.
8 months, I was sober, went right back to it, went into another treatment center, was 28 days. Then I started using again, went into a program that was 6 months called the Cub House here in Spokane. It saved my life. I had happened to walk by the Onion and something told me to go in there. So I did an interview, came back the next day, did another interview. The next day I was working. And I have not had any days that I wake up and not wanting to go to work. I was introduced to Big Table by one of the managers there a year ago, August. I got very sick. I couldn't work. I maybe worked 5 days that month. And so they paid my rent that month. And then when COVID hit, they paid my rent again.
Big Table exists to care for those in crisis in the restaurant and hospitality industry. It's the largest industry in the country, highest concentration of need. And they have smiles on their faces. When we walk in the door, they're greeting us and asking us how we're doing. But hidden behind those smiles is this incredible concentration of need.
That addiction is hidden. That struggle to find daycare, that abusive relationship or broken relationship is all had to be left at the door because the smile has covered it all.
I went into work one day, it was in March, and they said we're shutting down.
As Big Table, we knew the level of stress and level of need prior to this, but overnight you have millions upon millions of people out of work like that.
I was out of work for almost 2 months. I didn't get my stimulus, and I didn't get my unemployment.
Since Big Table's been in existence for 10 years, we had a good sense of the layout of the industry and the need that was there already. What COVID did was it just peeled back the curtain for much of the rest of the country to see what an incredible long-term crisis there has been here that has been hidden behind those smiles.
I know a lot of people that got laid off. I know a lot of people that had to go out of the hospitality industry to get jobs. I just found out that one of my neighbors relapsed.
Overnight, it was like waves of referrals every day. Now we got to find funds. We got to find support for this.
We already knew how to care for folks. We had the systems in place to get care to them quickly. What hit for us, though, was we were overwhelmed. We blew through $45,000 in crisis aid in 3 days. It just felt natural then to reach out to Inovia because the relationship was already in place.
We're looking at care needs, we're looking at situations and saying, okay, how do we respond to this? How do we meet this? A lot of the dollars that came from Inovia enabled that response, enabled that care to happen.
What we focused on was triage care, and the triage care we decided to do was food security. The other piece would be housing security.
The generous backers and supporters that have said that some we haven't even ever met before and are saying, we believe in your mission. Wow, it's just wild.
They will do anything to help you because they sure have helped me. Everybody that I met from Big Table has just been open arms.
When we work with someone, our goal is to create capacity in their life rather than to create dependency on us or the social service safety net.
I would wake up in the morning with a fifth of vodka under my pillow. And now today I have 2 bank accounts. They both have money. Never had that before either.
We're here to love and support people in the industry, right? We're here to help them in whatever capacity we can. This is their job to take care of you. What can we do to turn around and just take care of them back? It's been really fun and I think and encouraging. We're still in contact with Brandon. That video was shot back in November, and it's been fun to see continued the growth that he has experienced in life and this newfound peace that he shared about in the mix of that. Like, what has our role been in that? Yeah, we got to show up. Yeah, we got to help with rent and help with stabilization, but also we got to cheerlead in the mix of that. We got to just say, hey, we're here for you. We're in your corner. We know that this is hard and that this is struggling. I asked you to raise your hand earlier a little bit because I just wanted to bring to light that you've likely been in contact with somebody in the industry that is maybe working multiple jobs, that also maybe is somebody who might need support. It's very much an industry that we're all in multiple touch points in contact with, and some people that we can just be supportive to. So like mentioned in the video, overnight, right? We know the COVID story in terms of shutdowns. We know the COVID story in terms of waves of change, right? But this is the population that still is stuck and struggling in many regards. Big Table works on a referral model. So when we met Brandon, just to be able to use his reference story, when we met Brandon, we actually met Brandon 6 months prior to this whole shutdown happening. So when that need came, and he was at a point with some health situation and didn't know what to do next. So a coworker saw that and said, hey, I know about something. Let me reach out and let me see if they can do something. So then when he got laid off at COVID, there was already a relationship built in the mix that he called us and said, I don't know what to do next. Could you guys maybe help in that? So, but once again, just get to share that story because it's so awesome and so incredible to see the growth that has come of that. So where does that leave us? A couple quick facts about Big Table. Being a Spokane boy, I'm excited that Big Table started in Spokane. We moved into Seattle just about 6 years ago, and we've been in San Diego now for 2 years and working on expansion into Nashville, of all crazy places. Because, when you go to Seattle and you go to San Diego, the logical next step is to go to Nashville, right? That makes, geographically speaking, it just, right, you look at a map. Trust me, the dots connect. But all that to say is really the need is everywhere. Really the need is anywhere. On a local level, we do serve the greater Spokane area. And if you do want to get involved, in a minute, I will hand out some info and kind of explain around that. But the other fun part that I'm excited about locally is we're working on a satellite expansion to start doing care down in the Pullman and Moscow area locally as well. So not only reaching folks that are working in restaurants and hotels in Spokane area, but also starting to serve a college town that has been hit hard because without students, there's no stimulation to the restaurants and hotels there. And they can't even get staff down there because there's still not a lot of students back. And so we're looking at trying to figure out unique ways to support in that area. So we shared a little bit about why we exist. We've talked about referral pieces. Can I answer any quick questions before I jump to anything else? That maybe I've said something, maybe I haven't said. Ben, do you have any questions for me? Give me something. Not yet. I'm just sassing. But really, the simple premise is care. Really, the simple premise is a referral model that says, we hear you, we see you, and we can do something about it. One of the things that I would encourage all of you, the next time you're out and about dining somewhere, get to know your server's name. Ask them how you're doing. Like I said at the end of the video, it's their job to take care of us. What is it to turn the tables and start to take care of them? It's these simple acts of kindness that I think as us as individuals can make people's day for folks who are just working, who are just struggling to make ends meet. Yeah, so thank you. I do have some info that I want to hand out. This is our general info brochure that kind of highlights some of the pieces that was touched on in the video and that I touched on tonight. There is another piece in there. If you want to be a part of the mission, if you want to really help support, I can tell you any funds given, whether it's through the raffle or whether it's through the little QR code, will go directly to somebody working in the Spokane area that is in need of support. We are working with folks. Last year alone in Spokane, we got to serve 600 individuals last year with just a team of 6 of us to help make this care possible. And so your support is direct dollars to go to that. But also, beyond the financial part, is joining in to recognize that this is an incredible population that are working, but that are also in need of support and service as well. So I think, and I firmly believe as COVID times continue, that we can rebuild this industry together. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we'll pass those around now.
Awesome. Chris, is it on? Yeah, Chris, I had a few questions for you. Yeah. So I'd love to share with everybody some practical things. When I was talking with Kevin about how did the organization actually, what do they actually do? Like, what is a practical application of what your organization is currently doing? And could you walk us through some examples? The video is great, but I wanted to see. He had mentioned that there were sometimes somebody has an abscessed tooth and somebody will make a recommendation. And could you walk through that process? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what does that look like? So someone calls in and says,
it's interesting that you bring up tooth, because literally 2 days ago we got a call for a tooth situation. So one of the things about the industry is this rolling still? Yeah. Okay, good. I was like, I can't hear anymore. One of the things about the industry is, I'm going to go a little back and then I'm going to answer your question. But if you're willing to work, you can get a job in the industry, which is incredible and beautiful. But the other reality to that is it becomes this collective pool of often those who are most in need. And the other part to that then is there's a limited to no safety net. So we get this referral. It's a gentleman who has to leave shifts early right now because his dental pain is so bad that he goes to work, and then in the midst of that is like, I can't keep washing these dishes anymore. I'm sorry, but my tooth hurts too bad. So his bosses are reaching out to us going, hey, I don't know if there's anything you can do. Now, granted, I'm no dentist. I'm not going to, well, I could pull teeth, but it's not going to be pleasant in this approach. And even worse, I'm not putting teeth back in, right? But so for us, that dental referral comes in, and we reach out to him. We reach out to his boss, and we reach out to him directly and say, hey, we hear this need is going on. We want to do something about it. So then at that point, we're looking to the city, we're looking to those in the community who are doing dental work, who would be interested in partnering with us to help meet this need. And the gift to that is, if we can get his teeth fixed, one, he's not skipping work now. Like, he's now a more reliable employee. The boss isn't going, I don't know if he can work. It's really back and forth. He's now got a new level of confidence because the tooth is fixed. You know,
right.
How much if we're ashamed of something, we want to hide it, right? But that's taken care of, and that's so. And the other gift of that is not only are we referring, not only are we connecting with the dentist or any of that, but one of our members of our team is walking alongside him through that. We're getting together for cups of coffee. We're asking some of those other questions of what has led to this moment and where do you want to go? You know, you talked about Junto Club, like, of growth and like that sweet spirit together and that. Like, that's what we want to be about with these individuals, is helping them get to a point of a life of what we would call a life of abundance. Like,
Yeah.
and it starts with your tooth hurts.
Yeah.
Let's start there, and then we can open the door to conversations beyond that.
That's great. Kevin had mentioned that that it's not just a process of enabling. It's not just giving money.
Correct.
And one of the things that he mentioned that I thought was fascinating is that there you and correct me if I'm wrong, but you aren't giving money to people asking. You're giving money to people that have been suggested to be given to.
Totally.
So what would happen is that boss would call in, or that friend would call in and say, so and so is struggling with this situation or this issue. They can't pay their rent, or they can't pay their electric bill, or they've got an abscessed tooth and it's killing them. And that's when you guys get involved. It's not just people calling you and saying, help me, help me, help me.
Correct.
So I think that's a really unique way to support people. It's not those that are just begging for, give me more handouts. I want more free stuff. It's people noticing an issue and saying, this person needs help. So
I would say one of the things that's been fascinating about that is I think we're getting to the more critical and crucial needs, because it's often the person that's most in need who's not asking for help, right? So in this referral, they're working somewhere together, maybe prepping for dinner service or something, and it just mentions, I don't know what to do about this.
Yeah.
But it's just an off conversation. It's not saying, hey, I need my buddy to fix my problem. And that person goes, I know of a resource. Any of you in the room, if you're a patron of some place and you get to know somebody well enough, you can refer them to Big Table. It's simply through our website at big-table.com/refer. And it just asks basic info, and we'll be in touch from there. But yeah, the referral process ensures validity of need, get to direct most needs, and it's not the person reaching out. We're calling and offering direct support to the individual without them asking. So
that's great. Awesome.
Yeah, of course.
So you mentioned Innovia. That's certainly a great local partner. What are some of your other partners, and maybe even how did you get started originally? Like, did you have
Sure, that's a great.
So the question is, Innovia is one of the partners for Big Table, and are there who are some of the other partners? Is that correct? Yeah.
And then how do we get started?
And how do we get started?
Yeah, so kind of two kind of pieces. So Innovia has really been an incredible partner that's come in this past year. That we've had some relationship with them in the past, but in 2020 is when that really became alive. There's some other family organizations and family foundations that have provided support. But really the heart is individuals and companies that have said, we believe in your work and we're going to support you in that, whether that's a one-time annual gift, whether that's a one-time gift in general, or it's an ongoing gift that says that's an ongoing monthly support. So it's from a variety of kind of a few handful of buckets. We also generally have 2 fundraisers a year as well. We have a small fundraiser coming in mid-May in downtown Spokane, and it highlights a little bit on the handout that I'll hand out in a bit. And then we have a larger fundraiser that's a big live and silent auction. That's a really fun food theme event called Big Table Eats Around the World, and that'll be October 4th. That's hopefully able to do 500 folks at. So,
well, that's great.
Yeah, so definitely a fun, and Ben's actually been and helped set up at it and been awesome in that. And then how we got started, to try to make the longest story longer, I'm just kidding. To make it short, Kevin, and who was in the video and who you're referencing, who's our executive director, he was a food writer, and as his side hustle, his day job, he was a pastor, but in the evening, he was a food writer. And as he spent time writing for Spokane Coeur d'Alene Limiting, Inlander, all the other local publishings, just started to get to know folks behind the scenes and behind the smiles, and kind of discovered the reality of the industry, the beauty and also the reality of some of the hardships. And so the response was to do something about it immediately. And at that time, there was nothing. There was no organization nationwide that was providing support to the restaurant hospitality industry. So thus began Big Table. Thus began the response of, we have to do something about this, because the hospitality industry is the community, is the lifeblood, is the culture in which we view everything through. So how do we then support those folks? So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's give it up. Great job. Thank you.